Leaving Panama City was at the same time bittersweet and exciting. Bittersweet because part of me didn't want to leave. Exciting because it meant I was moving on to my next adventure in Bocas del Toro. It didn't take long for me to fall in love with this beautiful country and its kind, friendly, and ever so helpful people. Its variety of landscapes and the amazing food. Unlike David, there is no shortage of things to do here. With so many options, it just isn't possible to do it all in one trip. But like that famous movie line, I'll be back. Here are a few of the positives and negatives of Panama City. The pros. Transportation. You can actually live in Panama City without a car. They have a good metro system. Their buses are cheap. Uber and taxis are cheap. Just don't get a taxi to leave the airport. I was recently told that soon the metro will be available from Tocumen Airport to get into the city. The people. The people in this country are by and large raised with good morals. They are friendly, helpful, and kind. They are often quick to help you, and if you know a little Spanish, that can make a big difference, and they'll forgive your mistakes. Safety. Although there are a few places you shouldn't go after dark, you can feel safe in Panama City. Police seem to be everywhere, and I found them to be friendly and helpful. But if you're driving, be forewarned. Watch your speed. The U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar has been in circulation since 1849 thanks to the California Gold Rush. But in 1904, Panama made it their official currency alongside the Panamanian Balboa. Major bonus, not having to worry about an exchange rate. But don't expect to be able to use a credit card or debit card everywhere. Smaller mom-and-pop businesses like Fondas and Chinos won't have an internet connection to process payments. So you'll need to pago en efectivo, in cash. Government. Panama has a fairly stable democracy. It is still a relatively young country, so it still has infrastructure and supply chain issues, but they seem to be making progress. Bonus. The variety of cultures. Being a shipping and banking hub has turned Panama, especially Panama City, into a melting pot of different cultures. In my time here, I met people from Colombia, Ecuador, Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Peru, Caribbean islands, and other countries, all of which told a familiar story. They came to Panama for a new life and opportunities. Reminds me of where I come from, with a slightly different flavor. The cons. Garbage. Their garbage collection system leaves much to be desired. That's true in the whole country, and there are places that are worse than Panama City from my personal experience. People's sense of time. This really hasn't bothered me much because I've learned to roll with it. But it seems that in Panama, people are in no hurry. Personally, I came to Panama expecting it to not be like the US, so I wasn't disappointed. And I like the slower pace anyway. Finding certain items in stores. I already mentioned supply chain issues. It's not as bad in Panama City as it is elsewhere in the country, but sometimes you may have to wait a long time for some things to reappear on store shelves. Beer and juices are never scarce, fortunately. Strays. Apparently there is progress being made with spaying and neutering in recent years, but it's my understanding that it's a cultural thing not to want to cut off a male dog's huevos. So naturally that mindset leads to lots of stray perros and gatos. Many retired expats have donated their time to this cause across the country to try and improve the situation. Sidewalks. Again, this is less a problem in some parts of Panama City, but it's still an issue. My advice: watch your step. They're uneven and sometimes non-existent sidewalks made walking and recording with a camera a challenge at times. Cinta Costera and Amador Causeway were pleasant contrasts to most areas. In conclusion, for me the pros of Panama City outweigh the cons. We foreigners need to keep in mind that first world cities like Los Angeles and New York, Toronto, Montreal, and London didn't get to be their current condition overnight. And we can't expect developing nations to be the same. If you can't be happy with less, maybe you should stay home. But if you're open-minded, patient, and tolerant, you're opening yourself up to some really amazing experiences in Panama in general. I feel like I acclimated pretty quickly to this melting pot of a city. I can actually see myself living in Panama City. She made me feel like I belonged, like I fit in. And I just have one more thing to say. Te amo, ciudad de Panamá. Te veo de nuevo pronto. Gracias por todo. Ciao.